Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. Okay, a little late start today. Slept in a little bit. Couldn't sleep last night. So, we finally have the first interview scheduled by our illustrious Democrat candidates. Apparently, I guess tomorrow, she is going to sit down for an interview and actually answer questions. Don't expect much, okay? After all her talk on, I'm going to do this with a black female, yada, yada, yada. Well, eventually they realized that wasn't going to fly because, like I said, Gayle King or whatever isn't going to be a real serious interview. So they decided to do it with Dana Bash from CNN. And Dana Bash, if you guys remember, was one of the moderators between the Trump-Biden debate, okay? And she did an admirable job there. Now, we're going to see how this one flies, but it's going to be really interesting because the first thing that they decided to do was make this a joint interview with her and Tim Walz. Now, not that Tim Walz is any great orator or anything either, but it's funny how Kamala won't even go into an interview one-on-one because she's not competent to do one. I said last night, and I stand by this, I will bet you if you put a clock on both of them that Tim Walz talks more than Kamala Harris, because damage control for him putting his foot in his mouth as the VP candidate is a little bit easier than damage control for somebody on the top of the ticket. Now, okay, that's Chicken Little right there. But the last piece of news that came out of this tells you how in the bag this interview is, how much of a softball interview this is. It's not going to be live. It's going to be taped, which means they'll be able to edit out any of her word salad. They'll be able to edit out any of her gaffes, any of her cackling. And you know damn well somebody from the Harris campaign, if not a whole team, is going to be sitting in the editor's room going, nope, can't have that in there. We're going to need to do that, change that. Nope, use a little bit of AI so we can change that one. I mean, the abilities to edit, hell, you guys have seen movies. I mean, they could do an entire interview with her and she wouldn't even be there and we'd never know the difference. This is the fun part. But I want to hear her talk. What I'm really hoping is Dana Bash asks her about her policies. I want to hear Dana Bash ask about how she came up with the idea for no taxes on tips, or how Tim Walz came up with the idea to expand the child tax credit. I want to hear how she came up with the idea of building the wall, or how she decided that we should be fracking. Maybe she could even come up with her idea on why we shouldn't have an EV mandate, because those are all things in the last week that have come out from her campaign. In other words, she's not running against Donald Trump. She's running against Joe Biden. Okay. This is, again, their strategy. They are trying to paint the picture that Trump is the incumbent and Kamala Harris is the outsider. What's going to be really interesting is how Dana Bash addresses her. Is it going to be Madam Vice President, or is she going to leave it at all? Because if they leave out the Madam Vice President, that's going to be even further evidence that she's distancing herself from her current job. I mean, this is how desperate they are at this point. That she wants everybody to forget that all these things she says she supports now, that she's always supported. And so what she's saying is she's against all the policies that Joe Biden put into place while she was second in command? That, oh, the world would have been such a better place if I was in charge instead of Joe? Is that what she's saying? I mean, she's going to get inflation down, right? It's another thing she's promised. Basically, everything she is campaigning on is the polar opposite of what she did in the administration that she's currently working in. You know, we go back into the fact that Joe's on vacation, you know, out of the last now 37 days that Joe has been in the White House for 6 of them. You know, I want to work a week and get a month's vacation, don't you? Who's running the country? It sure ain't Kamala Harris. You know, even yesterday they were talking about when they were getting this scheduled. Amazing how they were able to get it scheduled and in 2 days, huh? It's because, as they said, well, she's got a really light schedule this week. She's the freaking vice president. There's a few things going on in the world that maybe somebody in Washington could be paying attention to. Oh, we're going to end the war in Ukraine. How? When's the last time you talked to Putin or Zelensky? Well, of course, when Zelensky isn't coming and saying, I need a check. When's the last time you talked to the leaders of Hamas or Netanyahu about stopping that war? Oh, I haven't done that. Have you talked to China about Taiwan or about what they're doing in the Philippines right now? Oh, no, I haven't done that either. So really, Madam Vice President, please tell me a little bit about your foreign policy. How are you going to keep us out of World War III that everybody is expecting, even the media, with your presidency? Cackle, cackle, cackle will be the answer. Okay. Madam Vice President, how are you going to keep us out of a civil war in the United States? Because everything that you and your administration, your current administration, has done is driving people to the edge, and the hatred in this country for each other, for other Americans, is at an all-time high. How are you going to solve something like that? Cackle, cackle, cackle will be the answer. Yeah, this is where we are. We have a presidential candidate who, even though I don't believe them, the polls are saying is leading, who's afraid to talk to her own people and tell what she wants to do. We all know she's utterly incompetent to talk to foreign leaders, not saying that language barriers or anything, but that she just doesn't know what she's doing. I swear this is what's going to happen. She's going to sit down and have a interview with Vladimir Putin, say it's in Russian, or Putin speaking Russian, or Xi speaking Mandarin, or whatever. And the interpreter is going to have to make the foreign policy, because Kamala Harris has got the competency to give the recipe for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the interpreter will tell in Russian or Chinese the correct answer, while Harris is cackle, cackle, cackle all the way through any sort of interview. People need to understand this woman has no ambition. Well, no, I take it back. She's got plenty of ambition. She's got no competence. She's never earned anything she's gotten in her life. And she wants to be the leader of the free world. She wants girl power, right? Look how far you can come. Do you want your daughters, your granddaughters to use Kamala Harris as an example? Don't do anything. Don't learn anything. Use your body to get ahead. I mean, let's talk about driving feminism back 50, 70, 80, 100 years. Barack Obama came in and destroyed race relations. Kamala Harris is going to come in and destroy gender relations. Gee, now how progressive are they? And they accuse Donald Trump of being the one that's going to take us back? Nah. They just want to put women back as subservient, just like blacks were put back in chains by the Obama administration. Pinball out.